Hey guys, welcome back to Final Sector, to another video. This time we are on the... Please tell me it's the third race of a triple header, right? I'm not going crazy. It's only the second.
We just didn't do one of them. We missed a couple of videos.
That's why my brain's confused. I'm like, where are we? What's happening? We're back for, the third leg of the first triple header of the year. Dear Lord, help us.
Oh God, there's a second one.
We are going to Silverstone, round 12, off the back of course, Austria. If you haven't seen the news already or watched Austria, do yourself a service and go back, watch it. Even if you just watch the second half of it, go back and watch it. You will enjoy.
Yep.
But I guess that's the biggest talking point heading into this weekend. There are a few little things going on, but really, after a week after the two besties at the top have their first real falling out ever, how will they recover? Who will be strongest? Do we think McLaren will rise like they did last year? How will Ferrari do? Will Mercedes still be strong? There's still a fair bit to talk about here. So hopefully we're in for an exciting weekend at a circuit
Checo be?
That is generally... Yes, well, we were skipping that. Let's move on. We don't need to talk about that.
Yep. I just had to touch on the only one you didn't touch on out of the top 8.
Yes, you're right. I shouldn't have moved on so quickly. You're right. Yes.
Yep. He'll finish P8. That's fine.
if he's lucky.
Yeah.
But yes, we're at a circuit which is generally pretty good, and that is Silverstone, of course.
Yeah.
What are your highlights or hopes hopping into this weekend?
Yeah, it's the big one. Obviously, is the Max Lando thing, right? Like. Something that we mentioned during our debrief of Austria as well, like just kind of off the cuff, I think I mentioned it, is like the fact that there's such a short time between the last race and Silverstone that this has happened. They haven't really had time to decompress or like really come to terms with what the whole fight means.
Yeah.
So they kind of just have to go bang straight back into it for another weekend. So emotions are probably... they apparently they have talked about it, but the emotions surely are still going to be running pretty high.
Yes.
A lot of people obviously saying that Norris now has to, as Leclerc and Hamilton have before him, kind of learn how Max races when he's under pressure at the top. And this is sort of Norris's first taste of it, and I'll be curious to see if there is a fight again, how he adapts and changes to his his racing style up the top there. So but yeah, I do expect McLaren again to be really, really strong. They were super strong here last year, as were I think Mercedes are generally always pretty strong here, and given their upturn in form, they could potentially be... I don't know if they'll be right there at the top, but they could be up there
factor.
As well. Yeah,
they could be
definitely
a factor.
That's a good word to use. So Ferrari, I'm not too sure about just yet.
Big question mark.
So yeah, high tire wear here. It's incredibly stressful on the tires. Last year, I think most people did a 1-stop, but historically it's a 2-stop around here. And I think that's one of the things I like about the circuit as well, is that you can normally make 1 or 2 stop work depending on, how things play out. So you have to be adaptable to things that happen around you, and safety cars and virtual safety cars and, undercuts, overcuts, whatever it is. So tire warm up, that's going to be a big issue. There's cold weather and wind and potentially rain around as well. And I think Silverstone always sort of has, I think in terms of on-track racing as well, they have some of the best battles you'll ever see. I remember, was it last year they had the 5-car battle for the entire lap? That was I think it was Norris and Hamilton,
so.
And there was a Ferrari.
There's generally
Leclerc,
some sort of highlight,
Yeah, so it's a good track. It's good that we come back here. I'm just not looking forward to all the fucking Sky Sports chat about how it's literally the best circuit in the world and all hail Britannia and fucking... I'm so over it, but,
Yes, maybe just watching some of the highlights of the pre-race this time out.
Yeah.
We'll be busy anyway, especially from my side, because we actually also have F2 and F3 here again, and I've...
do we really?
Do. So,
wow.
Yes. So even with my spare time, I won't necessarily be watching the spare bits. I'll be certainly catching up with a few things as well.
That's nuts.
But there is some news around some drivers. Haas have finally confirmed and signed what we all thought they would, which is to properly sign Ollie Behrman. So I guess irrespective of how he does in F2 now, he's now fully signed up. Of course, still unknown who his teammate will be, which I think even that is still slightly up in the air. You might think you know who it is, but you don't know. I mean, if this year has taught us anything, you never really know with these seats.
Yep. Yeah, I think Magnussen still needs to do enough, particularly
he's getting there. But yeah,
Hulkenberg
like
has more or less outperformed him at just about every race. Magnussen has his moments, but
he would have been their number one to pick for sure. I know they're in a bit of a hard place now that he's chosen to do something else. But otherwise, another driver who's actually making an appearance, the first Argentine on an F1 Grand Prix weekend since 2001 is Franco Colapinto. I don't know a lot recently. I just heard that he had a pretty decent weekend out last time out. So it's probably good timing for him and a good chance for him to prove himself. And as we've seen, of course, with Behrman, hey, you do a good enough job. Sky's the limit. So although maybe not one on top of people's radars for the Williams seat, this still could be an opportunity for him to sniff in there. It's not like, both those drivers in that car look like they are solid gold. So
Sargent I don't expect to be there, and I think he could have a real shot because he's actually starting to be a little bit of a contender as well. For the F2 title. As you say, he had a really good weekend in Austria. He went on the alternate strategy in the feature race and absolutely fucking flew through the field to take P2. I was like, he'll be lucky to get a podium, and he came through and got a pretty comfortable P2 in the end. He's really finding his stride in F2. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does, and I think this, given the rumors that Sainz may not be going to Williams after all, because I feel like they would have announced him already. There's definitely that seat up for grabs, so it's all to play for.
Yes, the Sainz puzzle seemed to be even their preferred puzzle, what I think. Not to go into things too much, but it's kind of opened back up now, and he's almost back talking to everyone again. It's just like, well, okay, that makes this even harder to go back and predict again. So we'll have to see. But on that Williams car, they are one of two cars at this stage, at least, running a special livery. We have the Williams, which have a Union Jack, which is made up of all the 1,005 team members' names in that team, which is pretty cool. Of course, they are a British team, so it's good to see them do it. But they're not just layering the flag on there; they're doing a bit of tribute to their team as well. So that's really cool to see. And Red Bull are doing a bit of a throwback to some of their more camo liveries. They have some, I don't know what to call it, other than splashes of red on their car, quite literally splashes. So I don't exactly remember why. I think I saw something like there was some like Red Bull design a livery ahead of time thing, and this was inspired off of that, plus their prior liveries. And it could also be for some reason. I might just be out of tune. I don't know if it's charity. I don't know if it's something else. But they're doing something different anyway. So
the only other note I had as well as Doohan, I think is going to be an FP1 and Alpine. I read too. So another one that will almost certainly be in that Alpine car, unless of course Sainz goes there. Fucking who knows?
Well, Doohan versus Mick Schumacher seems to be the talk of the table.
I
there.
didn't hear that
could
one.
Be,
that's new. That's new again.
This could be another one that's big for a driver to do well. I mean, he's different. Apparently, he's very good in the simulator. You know, from our outside perspective, you'd be hard pressed not to put him there. But anyway, if he goes out and he bins it immediately, that's obviously not going to help his CV. So still an important weekend to get it right for him.
A slight tangent, but can you just imagine Doohan obviously being the Alpine Academy driver, and then they just decide to put Mick Schumacher in the car? That's such an Alpine thing to do. Just to fucking ignore their driver that they've been building up for this moment.
What would Briatore do? That's the question.
Oh, fucking who knows? He'd tell fucking Doohan to crash into Max or something so that Gasly could win the championship.
So some shares go up in some stock that he's got. But it should be interesting. You alluded to the weather before. It seems like Friday is more likely to be wet, not confirmed, but more likely. And Saturday and Sunday are less likely to be wet, but still could be wet. So it's
quite a bit colder on Saturday, Sunday.
It's gloomy regardless, yes.
And potentially quite gusty. Like I saw there was potentially winds up to like 40, 50k an hour, gusts of wind. So,
which around here, there are a lot of corners where you are basically throwing the car in with very little liftoff, and you do not want to snap as you were trying to.
You need to trust the
throw
downforce,
a car in.
Yeah, so
for sure.
Which actually, speaking of that, I think Ferrari are trying to fast track an upgrade to fix their bouncing.
They are...
Yep.
Interesting note on that. I saw a note from Sainz that in his sim testing beforehand, his advice was that the car ran better with the old floor. So he was even asking them if they could put the old floor on his car for the race. And a floor upgrade is generally quite a big upgrade. So the fact that he's asking them to run the old one
degrade
is not a good sign. I didn't mean to do that of things. But irrespective of that, yes, it'll be interesting to see whether that was just a side comment. But anyway, we talked about it to death kind of after Austria. But in a year where upgrades were so important, as we've seen from Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari getting it wrong and already looking a bit wrong, how quick it can go from, maybe us putting them confidently in the win or for a P2 to where they might just be, sticking it around with the ahead of the best of the rest. It's incredible.
It's just a Ferrari moment. How many years have they done this though? Like it's midpoint of the year, they just go backwards, or they just don't keep up with the front. It's not even that they go backwards; they just struggle to keep up with the front. So
or just struggle to evolve through the year, and then they start the year again and they've got something strong. And then I know it's interesting.
It's repeating itself.
But we'll have to see. Who knows? This is 2024. They could turn up and win the thing. We'll be like, you know what? No, that makes sense. They got on top of things and they did it. And you just go, that's the year we're having. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, so I guess we have to move on to things. We do have our competition that we're running. We are, I guess, summarizing what we had from Spain. We didn't get the bonus point, and we ended up getting the same points because neither of us expected the Mercedes to be strong. And therefore, now it's even harder because it's like, well, do you think the Mercedes will get another podium? Because, well, that's what they did last time out, and it turned into the win anyway. So, hey, I mean, they're still on for the podium without that. Hard to say. Maybe
it's kind of thrown a curveball.
Yeah, it has. So to total, you are on 15.5 and I'm on 14.5. So
still close.
Again, we're almost following the trajectory like the F1 season where you took a nice streak ahead at the start and I found a way to claw myself back. We'll have to see what goes in.
At what point do I crash into you and take us both out?
Somehow we'll find a way to make that work. We do need to get our position for the week, and if my lucky number roll is going to tell us anything, it's going to tell us that it's for P9.
You're going to be bold and put a Ferrari there?
No, I think I want to put a lower midfield driver. I think
could be
at the start of the year we used to say this was, unironically, we're almost saying you could have, we had the top 5 teams, and so you'd go, oh, maybe it's like a Stroll or something like that. But now it's like, no, kind of 9-10's up for grabs for anyone these days.
Yep.
So 9 is almost the best of the rest.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I just want to continue the hype and say Hulk? I think so. I believe in him.
It's a fair shout. It's probably
keep the streak going.
Shout. Yeah.
I think I've got to. It'd be wrong of me not to.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to say Checo because I think it's funny.
That's good. I like the duality of man here with Hulk and Checo for P9.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't go back at you and watch this. I'm probably like, P1, he's going to get it, baby.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, where's that flag? It's already gone in the bin.
Gone. It's long gone.
Bless his heart. We do it out of pain more than anything. We hope he improves. Apparently there's some Disney Plus documentary coming out on him. He seems to have so much stuff coming out on him. I mean, people always joke saying Christian Horner doesn't want to lose him because he loves that revenue, and it's not a lie. He actually brings in a lot of money. Revenue.
Same with Ricciardo. We do hope in different ways, like in marketing, and there's a reason.
Hey, what's the team? Red Bull? They're not a car manufacturer, right? They're literally an energy drink. So we do need to go into predictions. I guess the big one is, how confident are you to think that Max will win? Or do you want to shake it up a bit?
I'm not that confident. I don't know. I mean, it's still... It feels like 50-50, right? I mean...
Yeah. But when in doubt, or...
I'm gonna say P3, just to get away.
Oh my god!
No, not Max P3. I'm gonna guess.
Oh
P3.
My god! I was about to say. I'm like, huh?
I'm gonna say P3 is Piastri, and think about what I'm gonna do for P1 and P2. McLaren should be very, very strong here.
Yeah.
And Piastri, he had, like, realistically, he probably would have had that P3 if his weekend had gone millimeters
Yes.
better.
Yes.
After that qualifying, we already talked about it in... Bless you. We talked about it in the Austria debrief, but, had he been able to complete that final qualifying lap, then he would have been ahead of Russell on the road, I would have thought.
Yeah.
And he would have got that win, or the P3 had the top two not collided with each other. So, yeah, I'm expecting Piastri to be in P3. The top two I haven't decided yet, so I don't know if you want
I can yabba for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we might have been close to having a similar podium here, so I suppose I had another driver as a caveat for a P3 who I'll go for.
Yeah.
I'll probably go for Hamilton, to be honest. I think Piastri is a little more likely, but then I feel like the Merc is in with a really good shout. I'd say you could honestly go 50-50 with either driver at this point. Russell's on kind of a bit of a high, and you'd expect him to continue that. But we have seen Hamilton. This is basically his home. He has a straight named after him here. So it's almost like just pick one, and maybe I go... They're kind of chewing and throwing between each other at the moment. So we missed out on the Hamilton last time. I'll give him the credit here. I'll put his name in for P3.
I can see it.
Maybe I'll just go forward. Don't know, because if you want to do something different, or if you want to hear my arguments, though it's probably nothing you are not expecting to hear anyway. I still have Max on top. Simple reason being, we've still seen him in many difficult positions this year, and for the most part, he still holds it together. And I can see a similar thing here. I hope it's close. If he doesn't get it, I won't be surprised. But I'm also erring on maybe the safer side of things and put Max P1. Yeah. Does that mean I've got Russell P2? No, I put Lando P2 because it's just these two. It's hard to go against these two.
Yeah.
I tried to imagine again if one of them has contact, do I just put one of them out of there? But then I'm like, no, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to take this seriously and catch up, so I don't want to go too crazy and wild out there.
Yeah.
So Max from Lando from Hamilton. Don't know if that influences your choice.
Well, it does make my decision easier because I'm going to go Lando P1. I was already sort of erring to that. And the fact that you went Max P1 makes me want to go the opposite.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Lando was close to winning it last year. Like, with
That's true.
that McLaren that was like just one upgrade package, and all of a sudden they were like... nearly fighting for the win. I think they could qualify really well here. I think particularly if Lando starts ahead of Max, that changes the dynamic a bit. We obviously know Max is defending from Austria, and yes, he does attack quite hard as well, but you get less leniency on attacking than you do with defending. I feel like you can't just absolutely send it on the inside. You still need to be able to control the car. You still need to be, give the room, and, the onus is on the person behind to overtake properly. And if Norris is ahead and Max goes back to his, 2015 Max driving days where he was just bombing from like half the straight back and somehow just like either crashing into him or just going straight on, or just real stupid moves. Like, it's not going to work for him. So I think I'm kind of maybe banking on that a little bit. But yeah, like I said, I expect the McLarens to be very, very quick this weekend. A lot of high speed corners. That is typically their strength. I can just see Lando winning. Of all the races, I think this could be one that could be his for sure. So
yeah. I was going to say before, when we were talking about this circuit, and often the lap one is very close, and even if you are in front or if you're in second, there are many opportunities to both pass, but then also repass. And so you could see, if the two of them do start near the front, having a real kind of fro-yo battle at the start of that. And if we do have higher tyre wear here, even if it's damp, wet, cold, more pit stops, whatever, it could throw things open. We've seen actually here before, sometimes the undercut works, sometimes the overcut works.
Yeah.
I feel like that McLaren's quite good at an overcut, which is normally only what the Red Bull can do. Let's hope it's interesting. It could also just be a flop, but I mean, again, we say it most weekends now, but we've got more hope than we have usually, and so we're going to ride
normally
that
it
hope.
pays off, so...
It has been. It has been.
Yeah.
Yep. And even if the top isn't that tight, you feel like then every place down you just go, it could be anyone's gambit. P3, 4, 5, 6, even bottom of the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, there's stories everywhere, right? Like, again, we talk about Ferrari.
It's great. We don't need to touch on everything else.
Yeah.
It's really just the top we actually have enough to chat about.
Exactly, yeah. But you say, like, Ferrari, are they going to be able to fight back, or are they going to be, having to try and fight through the field again and manage whatever issues they have? Aston Martin, are they going to do anything? The Haas is obviously on such huge form at the moment. The RBs bringing their upgrades that seem to have sent them backwards. Are they going to be able to get on top of them? Like,
the Alpine could suddenly be a dark contender for best of the rest,
or they could be the 10th best team again because it's Alpine. Like, It's so up in the air that, like, every race, it's always a big question mark on where the hell anyone's going to be. There's always a couple of constants, but that midfield is just so hard to predict, and it makes it exciting. So even when there's nothing at the top, you can look back and be like, how the hell did X driver get there? Like, aren't they supposed to be here? Aren't they supposed to be like 10 places ahead or 10 places back? So yeah. I don't know. It's good. Yeah. It's been a really, really good season so far.
It has. For sure. But anyway, I guess we're gonna make sure to finish this one up. Be sure to both check out the weekend. Reminder to check out F2 and catch up on it if you haven't already, because that's also very enjoyable. If you have a chance, make sure to let us know who you think might be a dark horse, might be an underdog. Is it Lando stronger? Is it Max stronger? We'd love to know. But otherwise, as I say always, unless the plague hits us again, we will be back to review things after the weekend, and we hope to see you there. Otherwise, take care, enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.